Welcome to the CEO Story, brought to you by KC Chauhan, founder of Together CFO, where every week we're interviewing the top CEOs in various industries, sharing their journey and extracting the top things that made them successful. Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to the CFO Story, and we have a fantastic episode today. So we have the amazing Jenny Chang that's on the podcast. Thank you, Jenny, for joining us. And Jenny is amazing. She is an iconic event specialist, and she's got a great app and a great podcast herself. So Jenny, thank you so much for taking the time. You want to share a little bit about yourself and your background?
Of course. Well, thank you so much for having me here, Casey. I started this crazy journey of becoming an experiential artist and event planner when I was 19. I graduated the FIDM in Los Angeles here in downtown when I was 19 years old. And I graduated with just an associate's degree in visual communication. And I think, like most of us, I think when we go into this process of, having this degree under our belt, we kind of walk out of our education journey with this big head, and we're like, okay, like all these doors are going to open up to us.
Yeah.
But it was actually the complete opposite for me. So, after I graduated, I applied to like as many firms as I could to get hands-on experience in being an event planner. Just application after application, Casey, I was just getting constantly shut down, right? So I decided probably 6 months within post-graduation, I said, you know what, well, if no one's going to hire me, I'm going to hire myself. So I started my first startup, Rocket Events, in 6 months after I graduated. And after I graduated, the next biggest hurdle after kind of creating the name and building this mission and this business model and, what I really wanted to kind of create into fruition, the next biggest challenge was, coming across building a portfolio, right? So as an event planner, a lot of our success entails around who we know and what we've created in the past. So since I didn't have any portfolio, that was my biggest next hurdle, right? And so I spent about 2 years trying to get as many people to trust me, Casey, in the process of trying to grow.
What were you doing to build trust? There's already loads of snippets that I want to dig into in terms of what was the final straw that broke the camel's back in terms of, okay, I'm sick of applying and not getting anywhere. Let me just do it myself. What was kind of that? You said it was at the 6 month mark, but was there a specific event that triggered that?
What triggered it was just I didn't like that feeling that I was feeling internally of people saying no. You know what I mean? I think I already had this picture in my head of what was going to happen, and that picture was that I was going to become an event planner. And that internal feeling of people just shutting me down was just stressful to the point where I was like, well, why am I relying the outcome of my success in other people's hands?
You already had the skill, right? You could already do it, and you knew that.
Right. Well, I had the knowledge, right, Casey? So I didn't actually have experience, which was actually the hardest part. But what triggered me into starting the business, and after people shut down, the opportunity to actually create events for them, right? So after I started the business, I said, well, I'm just going to start, telling people that I will plan their events for free. So at least I could gain some portfolio.
And that, Gary Vee says this a lot, is just do it for free, eat some shit, as he says, along the way, and then build up that reputation. Or in this case, like your portfolio, you'll then have videos and testimonials and some really like good pictures. So that'll then perpetuate into some paying gigs eventually.
Right. And I agree with that. Gary Vee says a lot about just putting content out there, no matter what. And so, but I needed clients to give me that chance to be able to bring something live.
And it's a big deal. People planning events, they don't want it to get messed up. It's a big marketing plan for them, and then it's their business, which is their baby a lot of the time as well. So it's sensitive, right?
It's very sensitive. And I started being, a wedding planner. So imagine,
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I recently got married a few years ago, and it was like, it was stressful.
So, here I am, this kid that just wants an opportunity to bring something live. But after a couple of years, when I recognized that no one was going to give me that chance, I said, you know what, I'm just going to bring something to life myself. So I launched the Rockin' Events debut event, which was the big event that just basically propelled this concept out there.
Put you on the map.
I'm sorry?
It put you on the map.
Yeah, absolutely, Casey. So it was that event that actually brought in 15 clients my first year.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We should have done that at the 6-month mark, right?
Seriously. But it was those 15 clients that I actually did a lot of those events for free. So it was, again, all about content. Second year, I was voted top 10 best wedding planners
That's amazing.
In Orange County. Yeah, so that was huge. But
that's some good recognition in the local market for you. And obviously, word of mouth is the best you could get, right? So those 15 then turn into referrals and so on, right?
Exactly. And so having that award though really got me to compete with these veteran wedding planners and veteran event planners that have been in the industry for like decades, right? And so it was a huge reward to obtain. And then from there, it just really became all about absorbing as many experiences that I could create. Third year, I was able to branch out to San Francisco, New York. It was also where I started a few other businesses to really kind of teach people what.
Before we get into that, you mentioned you were competing in year 2, year 3 with these veterans. Right. What did you do at that point to kind of differentiate yourself or kind of take your market share compared to these people that have been in the industry for decades?
Right. No, that's a great question. My first vow that I made to myself was that I would never look at their websites. The vow that I made to myself when competing with all these other names was that I didn't want to absorb what their character of a brand was. Mm-hmm. I wanted to absorb, and I didn't want to learn exactly what their niche was either when it came to event designs or event production. My niche was to stay within the bounds of my own creations, which was to create something very edgy, very timeless, something that the industry hasn't seen before. So if you can imagine in the wedding industry, you'll find a lot of mirrors of Martha Stewart types of, experiences or whatnot, keeping things very cute and keeping things very perfect. But Rockin' Events really portrayed a way to represent the clients, a way to represent, designs and event designs with creativity that had no limits, that had no bounds, right? And it was really the brand in itself that kind of recognized, I would say that impacted the industry very heavily just by the name, so that instantly became a niche of its own, right? So I really focus on the brand. I really focus on making sure that, when people heard of Rockin' Events, they knew that, of course, they would get nothing less than like a timeless event, right? But they knew that it was going to be a rock star experience.
That's amazing. And then the scalability. So this is like a key part, and we should spend some time talking about this. So you then jumped from LA to San Francisco and New York. Can you just break down a couple of the key things that enable that to happen?
Yeah. So, when so essentially I wanted, it started with the intention that I wanted to spread more of the experiences that we were delivering outside of being local, right? So the intention was I wanted more people to experience what we could deliver because I knew it was different. So when we expanded to San Francisco, it was kind of our next, our sister branch. But when we expanded to San Francisco, it was with the intention that, again, we wanted to, expand to a different market, but at the same time, as a startup, you have to imagine, you have to make as much money that you have in terms of your investment go a long way.
Yeah,
right?
Cash is king, right?
Exactly, Casey. So I started writing books, right, within the company. So I started writing exactly how to consolidate emails, and I made that a very specific template, right?
Manuals and processes and systems is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. I couldn't afford an operations director, and I definitely couldn't afford like having an HR team. So what I ended up doing was I spent about 3 months just writing nonstop books, company books, etiquettes, the way that event production tools were handled, everything you can imagine, and everything that I've learned throughout my own journey. I started to just write. And these books became assets in terms of being able to scale, right? Because it was super easy with the reputation that we had to be able to find people to represent the company. So in San Francisco, the moment we posted an ad that we were looking for jobs, there were just streams of people that would be applying. Finding clients in that area wasn't difficult at all because we already had the backbone, right? We had the foundation.
We had the social proof at this point. And now what I'm hearing is you're building such a strong foundation and preempting all of this scalability and creating the culture that you actually want in these other remote locations.
Exactly. And it was really all about making sure that I knew what the values and the mission was for the company, right? And being able to put that on paper and even video tutorials so that when we found the right person for the job, the only expectation was that they understood that, right? And they knew exactly how to go forward. So really kind of spending some time being my own HR representative, being my own operations director, and being able to kind of put it on an asset and have it fly.
This is a very frequent thing I hear, but once you've done this work and you've got to a level of success to a point at which now you're ready to expand and you've built a foundation, a lot of the times what I've experienced with entrepreneurs is they find it hard to then delegate that because no one can do it as well as you can do it. You're going to love it the most. And the concept or the general thought is they can't do it as good as me, so let me just do it, which obviously is not scalable. But the flip side of that, and what I encourage the companies that we work with is, hey, let them do it to 80% of what you can do it because more will overall get done.
Right.
How do you kind of see that, and at what point did you adopt a similar mindset, or did you adopt a similar?
No, I absolutely did. And I love that you bring it up, Casey, because the moment that I adopted this concept was the second year of Rockin' Events. And it was, I had to ask myself, is Rockin' Events me, or is Rockin' Events a group of leaders?
Something bigger than you, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I saw Rockin' Events as a firm. I didn't see it as just one person doing all the work. I saw it as a group of leaders that could mirror a lot of the things that I've learned, right? And be able to apply that and expand it to other clients. And again, my intention was always to take what I created as a service and be able to expand it as much as I could. The hardest part was that hurdle and being able to trust somebody else to do it the way that you would.
But it's the hardest part of it.
It is for entrepreneurs specifically, but I think that there's an art to that. I think the art is that, you find other people to be able to be guided through your science, right? But they're able to build chemistry in their own perfect ways as well, or imperfect ways. But yeah, that was definitely a hurdle that I had experienced when scaling. But at the same time, you got to take a risk. You got to know what that vision is, though. You know what I mean?
I think that's true. A lot of the things that you've said in terms of building a brand, a foundation, a culture, all of these key things often get overlooked because people are just trying to get to the end of the finish line very quickly, right? And I think if you slow it down, slow is fast ultimately, right?
Yeah, very true.
So fantastic. All right, so then let's fast forward a little bit now. And we get into some of the other ventures that you've started along the way. Can you talk a little bit about them?
Absolutely. So I'm kind of this serial entrepreneur nut. I can't stop with. I think it comes from that knack of wanting to problem solve. So even in my industry in itself, when I see a problem, I want to solve it, whether it's for the event or if it's for the industry. So it was within the third year of Rockin' Events that I learned the lack of knowledge that was actually being taught to other event planners. And the way that I see, my career specifically is imagine creating one event, right? And the vibration that event causes, and all the positivity and all the great experiences that, a group of 100 or a group of 10,000 get to feel in just one day. And so my whole model is that if I can have those experiences, spread across the United States or the world, right, and have this world vibrate just a little bit higher in terms of frequency, that's really my mission. That's really what I want to accomplish. So, but I understood just from my own personal experience of not being able to, have the knowledge and have the experience, right, for people to want to hire me or whatnot in the beginning of my journey. I recognized that there was a very little market to teach other people in how to be able to spread your secrets, right? So I started a company called Rockin' University, in which it's all webinar based, it's all online. And I get a bunch of students that invest in themselves, and in which I get to teach them a lot of my secrets, right? The things that I've learned from just raw knowledge. And then it was the fourth year of my journey as an entrepreneur where I created an app called Val Law. And Val Law is essentially, Casey, it's like the Uber of wedding planning, right? So you got married a couple years ago. Did you have a wedding planner?
Yeah, absolutely. We got married at the Beverly Hills, Waldorf and Great Manor. So
beautiful. Okay, so you had a wedding planner. So let me just tell you, just kind of from a grand scheme of things, for you to have a wedding planner by your side to really kind of help you in the journey from start to finish is a luxury, right? So, and they're expensive.
Worth the weight in gold. I would definitely recommend anyone who's getting married to invest in a wedding planner. Right. Best decision you've
made. Thank you, Casey. But yeah, again, I would say that though, Casey, only 10% of Americans can actually afford a wedding planner, right? So that means about 90% of brides and grooms can't. They can't have this luxury JLo experience. So I decided to create an application where I basically put the timeline of how I would guide a client, right, through their wedding planning journey on an app. And so the independent brides and grooms could basically walk them through a professional process, right? Again, similar to what I would guide them through. It connects them, boom, to the most reputable vendors. They're all hand selected and approved and verified by the Jenny Chang brand. So you have all these vendors that you can meet and match with based on their criteria. But what makes Val Law so different is that it gives all users the experience of being able to connect with an actual wedding planner that they can afford, right? So on the day of, let's say when it all matters the most, they're able to hire a wedding planner for less than half of the cost of the market price. And they're able to book a wedding planner to bring it all to life, right? So
it makes so much sense. And it's very similar to the way we grew our business, where, my background is corporate America, and found a need in the market for smaller businesses to have CFO advice, but they couldn't afford a full-time CFO. So it's very much in line with kind of our philosophy on helping people that don't necessarily have that full budget, but to get that same level of experience so that they can have the day of their dreams, right?
Exactly, because only you know, Casey, how valuable it is for someone to have a CFO. And it's inside of you to be like, God, I just wish everyone could have someone to protect, their finances, or at least set those expectations. I had the same knack. I felt that the world deserved more luxury. I felt that the world deserved more assistance, more the ability to have that JLo experience, right? And so
it's deserve that, right? So this is their big day. So if they wanted to check that website out, where would they go to do that?
They can check it out at vallaapp.com. So that's VOWLA -app, APP, and then .com. So, yeah.
Check that out, people. But yeah, so keep going.
Thank you. No, so it's one of my favorite creations because it's my intentional business. It's the tech business that has the greatest intention behind it. And it's just, I want more jobs to be created that way. So a lot of wedding planners are kind of seeing a decrease in their own, profits and whatnot, because a lot of people can't afford a wedding planner. So they're just doing it all themselves.
Yeah, well, it wasn't cheap. But it was worth it though. I think, exactly. I think for us, it was just such a high stress environment getting married. And, thankfully we're fortunate. Like you said, we're fortunate enough to be able to kind of outsource that pain a little bit, because it's super stressful. So I definitely see the benefits of it. And again, if someone is on a budget, it's kind of the next evolution of tech world meeting wedding planning. and it's
Exactly.
efficient and time saved. Like you said, vendors are pre-approved, so
Right.
be a good discount in there too. So I can't think of any reason not to try this out.
Right? And they can actually chat with their wedding planner too. So like matches you instantly. And so you get to chat with them, you get to talk to them. And if you imagine like the month of, which is the most sought out service in the wedding industry, it's like at least $3,000 on average, or at least 2,500. But if you book a wedding planner on Bellot, so you're getting a wedding planner to bring it all to life for about $900, right? 900. So it's a lot more affordable for the users to be able to download and have and hire. But it creates a lot of jobs for my wedding planners out there, right? Because
Just to touch on the technology side of this, because we kind of glossed over this a little bit. So you went from being an event planner, a kind of creative mind, skilled person, to creating a successful business, scaling it and multiplying it in different cities, and then also creating a tech company, because technically this is what it is, right?
yeah.
So how did you then transfer that skill set into tech that's now a functionable app that's in the marketplace and working very successfully?
I love your questions because you're just so curious, and you're asking all the questions that I love to answer. So actually, when I started Rockin' Events, one of the niches that I wanted to make sure that I kind of revolved around was that we are the most scalable and remote and modern company out there. So a lot of our clients at Rockin' Events are all very digitally inclined, and about 95% of our clients are not even local. They're all basically destination clients, right? So a lot of our systems internally have already been built, hand built, through like Excel sheets and just through, Asana, all the different softwares that we can utilize as a business owner.
Can you give us a quick stack of maybe the top 5 softwares that have helped you scale?
Absolutely. To help me scale, I would say.
Scale and build kind of the platform.
Absolutely. So I started with project management. I love two of the softwares that I love most is Trello and Asana.
Yeah.
It's just an incredible, absolutely incredible. I have just G Suite Business. It's helped me in every sense of the word. But a lot of the softwares that we use now are actually all handcrafted from Google Suite. So we're able to really kind of create these like epicenters and master books that's really tailored around, creating like a platform for the clients to tune into. So within when we were building all these systems throughout the Rockin' Events journey, I just basically took all of these systems, I sent it to an app software company, and I was like, I need this to become an app. And it had everything to do with like the design decks, the decks that we present to clients when we're designing their event, all the way to these Excel sheets. So luckily, we already started that way. And it was very, very apparent when I started Bellot that it was going to become, it was going to evolve into its own technology,
I love it, because then you've went from being able to help, let's say, a restricted number of people based on the amount of staff you have, to now building an app that can help an infinite number of people globally eventually when you get to that stage, right? So it's definitely become very, very scalable. And then also, not only is it scalable, but you've also scaled the cost at the same time as well. Whereas if you had to hire that headcount for every one of those events, it would have just been a nightmare.
Yeah. And there's a lot of vendors too. I mean, I wanted to make sure that I problem solved every area, right? So creating more jobs for wedding planners, giving luxury in the wedding planning experience professionally to 90% of the couples that can't afford one. But another thing that really helps with other businesses is all the vendors that are actually associated on the app. So again, you have to be approved. But once you're approved and you're on the app, you're not really spending money to market yourself, right? You just need to have a great criteria of being a business owner. But what's amazing is that the business model is essentially we take 10% of all the vendors that are on the app, right? So when they make money, we make money.
Yeah.
And I like that because I think that for a lot of talented entrepreneurs, I think the hardest part is, the investment, the upfront costs, right, of investment in marketing. And then of course, if you are marketing, trusting who to market with, that's kind of the biggest hurdle for some of the business.
It's all associated to your business, right? Your app is the face of it all.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Awesome. So, Jenny, thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your journey. It's been amazing hearing it all play through. If people wanted to contact you or reach out to you, what is the best way for them to do that?
So they can reach out to me. I just kind of keep it simple to jennychang.com. That's Jenny with a Y and Chang. I think it's probably the easiest way because you can find all my different ventures in that website.
And what we'll do is we'll put a link below just so that people can hit the link and they can get straight onto your website. And that's got your personal information, your ventures. You can connect to your podcast. So we've got every which way to get into the Jenny Chang world. So thank you again for taking the time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you for everything.